Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I am your host Faisal Raza and you are watching Foresight. Viewers, every year we celebrate Environment Day and Ocean Day in the month of June. This year, the World Environment Day's theme is Solution to Beat Plastic Pollution. And the Ocean Day theme is that wonder, sustaining what's sustaining us. Here we discuss the pressing issue of plastic pollution that is spiraling into a global crisis that is not only polluting our oceans but also choking our planet. Pakistan is deeply entangled into the dilemma of plastic pollution. With 2 million tons of plastic wastes produced annually and 55 billion plastic bags we use every year, our rivers, coastlines and marine ecosystem are under siege. We have approximately 60% of the plastic pollution generation out of the millions of tons of solid waste. And the Indus River is the most affected river system, and obviously when Indus River is affected, Indus Delta, the mangroves, and obviously our seas and oceans are the affectees as well. It is the plastic waste actually is damaging the biodiversity, our fisheries, public health, yet urgent national action remains unfortunately missing. There are lots of hard questions remain. Why not to regulate plastic or the plastic industry? It's related to not only to the industries but the waste disposal and the circular economy as well. Why are our waste systems are actually broken and oceans are totally unprotected? What about the global treaty talks? Whether world will agree to save the nature, the biodiversity, humanity and our oceans, or we will remain committed to the fossil fuel and the chemical businesses and let the corporate lobbies and policy gaps drag us deeper into the ecological collapse. To discuss this very pressing issue today on the Environment Day, we have in our studios Dr. Zainab Naeem. She is Associate Research Fellow at Sustainable Development Policy Institute, SDPI. Thank you very much, Zainab, for being with us here. And we have Vice Admiral retired Ahmed Saeed. He is the President of National Institute of Maritime Affairs, NIMA. Thank you very much, sir, for your presence here.
Always pleasure.
And online joining us, Mr. Talha Tufail Bhatti. He is the Climate Change Researcher at the Institute of Regional Studies, IRS. Thank you very much, Talha, for being with us online. My first question to you, Dr. Zainab, that with deep divisions among 175 signatories, oil lobbies pushing voluntary measures, and other demanding actually the strict and binding rules, can the upcoming Geneva negotiations in Switzerland realistically deliver a robust global plastic treaty, or will disagreements on objectives, production and the recycling continue to sabotage the overall progress?
So first we need to understand the global dynamics in this situation. Plastics is a problem that is not specific to the developing countries or developed countries. It's a global issue, global challenge. And after climate change, it's another developmental challenge that the entire world is facing at this time. So yes, the deadlock that we also observed in the last INC session in South Korea was also based on this fact that there are countries demanding production caps, and then there are countries demanding voluntary, waste management sort of revisions. So in that perspective, I think there is a strategy that the INC, the leaders at the INC 5 needs to adopt. For example, you know that one of the best successful agreements in the global history has been the Paris Agreement. And so the similar kind of tiered wise, phased wise approach needs to be adopted. For example, if we are going to be developing a legally binding document, it should be in phases that also indicates differentiated responsibilities towards consumers, towards producers, towards investors, and how those countries that are along the production sides, the cap sides, how they need to invest in developing countries to ensure that their waste management systems are upgraded and sophisticated recycling technologies are there, so that they are able to manage the plastic issue that is being generated upstream, right? And then in context of consumers, sustainable consumption, how you're going to ensure that the market demand for virgin plastic gets reduced. That is where you are going to be pushing the producers in context of reducing virgin plastic use. So I think a tiered wise phased approach for legally binding document can work out, that ensures balance. Otherwise it's at
Where
this
the
time
problem lies actually, it is just because of the single-use plastic or the multi-use plastic, number one, and the second is that it is basically on production side or on the recycling side. What actually disturbing? Because ultimately most of the fossil fuel industries and even the oil producing countries, they have the view that their industry is going to be suffer if the production is going to be cut, for that matter. So how do you see where actually the problem lies?
So the problem is, when plastic was created, its wide acceptability became a problem. It is so much integrated into our systems. You see, starting from the depths of Mariana Trench, now if you go in the space, you find microplastics. So it is still there. The first plastic that was produced is still present in our atmosphere and in the earth. So I think that is the problem. Second problem is, because of the wider acceptability, consumers are, they are very much inclined towards, because of its easy use, and because of it's cheap compared to other alternatives. That's why. And third important aspect, the presence of eco-friendly alternatives and also cost-effective solutions, that is a challenge. So in that context, it's important, while we talk about extended producer responsibility, imposing bans on single use, we also need to focus on extended consumer responsibility, where consumers ensure through awareness that this is a toxic material that we need to get rid of.
Definitely, your point well taken. Admiral Retired Ahmed Saeed Sahab, if a global plastic treaty is weakened to satisfy the corporate and the oil interests, stripped of enforceable obligations, wouldn't it become toothless, number one, failing to match the scale of the plastic crisis and serving the powerful instead of protecting the planet?
Thank you very much. I think very aptly given this problem, which is one of the highest priority problem which is coming up towards the sea also. Why? Because if we quantify what is going into the sea, if what we take the UNEP statistics, that 2.1 billion tons world over is being produced per year. And if we take the Pakistan's statistics, as per UNEP it is 4.9, but we normally say it is between 2 and 3 million tons per year. So half of it's 9% is the plastic, and of which 50% is reusable, of which 50% ends up into the sea, and 4% we are recycling. That means 46% is going into the landfills. So here is the quantification of the problem, number one. So once it lands into our area, so normally it is taken in 3 R's, that is reduce, reuse and recycle. Although there is more R's as well, that means rethink and refuse also. But these are the basic 3 categories in which we need to tackle it. So at the moment we are trying to hold the bull from the horns. That means we are implementing our strategies towards recycling. So as per the World Economic Reports last year which was published, they say even if you go 100%, you cannot reach more than 20% recycling. So that means the problem will have to be dealt at the core to reduce its production.
Definitely.
So until unless we don't make the policies, as Dr. Zainab has alluded to, which is quantifiable, which is incentivized and measurable, and you make the government and the society partner to it. Until unless this cycle, which is called the life cycle of the plastic, is not identified country level and it is not dealt with, this will have a problems. Coming to your question is that is the investors, that means the fossil fuel production countries. So 98% of the content of plastic is fossil fuel. So again, as the Dr. Sahiba has best given the example, that we need to go in stepwise to create incentive and alternative embedded into it, and then we can go into implementing it. So not only the government, I would always say any movement which is not led by and owned by the society is bound to fail. So that means we have to start from our homes, our schools, our colleges and universities. So to make every consumer partner to it.
Definitely, definitely. As it is just entangled in our life, and it is
Exactly.
now the part of our life, we have to make it a part as well in to have awareness, education and all others.
Just
That
a
is-
little add to it. Now 0.43 kg per person per capita is the production rate of Pakistan in the solid waste. Highest is in Lahore, that is 0.85. So we need to, and then is the Karachi. So I
Yes.
think if we create system where these data is collated and then we start monitoring it and start reducing it, that is the key where I think the think tanks are working on it.
Definitely, definitely, no doubt. Your point well taken. Talha, with plastic pollution projected rise by 70% by 2040, OECD data showing 96% reduction is actually possible through full life cycle regulation if it would be implemented in true letter and spirit. Can the global community rise to the challenge with an ambitious and at least a real-time treaty, or will inertia protect the status quo?
Well, thank you so much for having me on this. And I don't know, honestly, no one knows about it because most of the time the plastic is the product of fossil fuel industry, and that is the same industry which is the culprit for the climate change. So 90% of the plastic in between 1950 to 2015 is incinerated or leaked into the environment. So, and there is one study also estimate now we are at the position where almost 5 gram or equivalent to one credit card worth of plastic we ingest in a week. That's the report for Center for Climate Integrity, and we cannot push that legislation into the international market, or the, as Dr. Zainab rightfully recommended, that these negotiations are going on, but I feel like these legislations are stalled into for the regulatory actions, and we have the same culprit in behind, which is fossil fuel industry, because the packaging industry, and these are the biggest client. ExxonMobil is the world top producer for single use of plastic. And these industries, if we talk about in our country, 15% of our GDP, according to sources, correct me if I'm wrong, 15% of the GDP is contributed through plastic into the Pakistan economy. And there's a 500 billion rupee market of it. So an investor in Pakistan are still very confident to invest into the same side. And on the international side, the problem is the same. The market is very promising for the investor. And if we really want to change it, we have to decouple ourselves from this growth narrative which we have, that we need to produce more. And rightfully mentioned by my peer is that we need to tackle the problem at the core rather than to the end of it. The end user can we are trained in the last 70 years in the great acceleration that we have to consume. We have a consumer lifestyle, and we want to consume on a manner which is unsustainable. Now we have the practical and empirical evidence. I mean, 7 billion tons of plastic is on the waste line, and only 9% or 12% can be recycled. I mean, or 20% maybe. How we can even move into that direction? So I don't think so. The near-term scenario is very promising if we don't change our course.
When we are talking about particularly Pakistan, how can Pakistan claim progress under the UNDP, United Nations Development Programme backed NPAP roadmap and particularly when it was supported by World Economic Forum initiatives, without a coherent national policy to regulate plastic production, consumption, and disposal, leaving efforts fragmented and ineffective. So do you not think that it is a high time that we have to focus on the legislation, to, how to regulate this production, how to have that safe consumption, and then the disposal, because ultimately when we regulate the production, it will help us to have very safe disposal of that, and even recycling or generating a better circular economy out of the plastic pollution.
I mean, Dr. Zainab can comment upon the circular side of it, how we can generate more investor incentives into this. But you have to understand that there are 11,000 small, medium, and large households which are connected to it. More than 2 million people are indirectly connected to this industry. And we need to reskill, even if we want to transfer that labor into some other industry where they can be a constructive eco advocates into that direction. But again, we don't have any platforms or any will to do it. I just mentioned to you $500 billion rupee investment is a promising industry for an investor. So if we cannot change that, no matter what kind of policy or what kind of legislation we have on the top, couldn't change the fact on the ground, because as I mentioned, 11,000 households, that's a big number. 2 million people are attached to this lifestyle or to this livelihood of it. So we need to first shift them, and then we can move forward for such legislation and such works which we have in our pocket.
So your point well taken. Dr. Zainab, first, why did Pakistan actually, despite being the first South Asian country to join the Global Plastic Action Partnership, fail to adopt the cohesive policies, build infrastructure, scale the circular economy solutions, and drive the public awareness on this plastic pollution overall?
I think first of all, we must appreciate that at least a country like Pakistan, which is a developing country, we took this stance and we joined the Global Plastic Action Partnership. Eventually NPAP landing into Pakistan, and that was, as you mentioned, backed by World Economic Forum. So it's an investment in the country. But I think the challenge lies in our system, which has been there since Pakistan became independent. The waste management system is fragmented. You know, our waste it mostly comprises of wet stream, and we are unable to sort and segregate that waste. So when waste segregation is not there, you are unable to segregate the recoverables, the recyclables from the wet stream. Investment like JEEP, whether that's NPAP, whether that's waste to energy plants by JICA or any other development agency, it's not going to work because you are not segregating your waste. First thing. Second thing, waste, initially it has not been the priority for investments and even for the public-private sector. But now it has become a priority, realizing the fact that it is also an opportunity and a challenge for country. Third aspect, I think my colleague here, Talha, he also mentioned rightly, and Admiral Saab also mentioned it, that we need to grab it from the core, the producer side. But let me share an interesting fact. Plastic industry is the 5th largest employer in your country, and it contributes 8 billion PKR to the national exchequer, right? So if producers are to be stopped, why would they? Your consumers are demanding this product. Consumers are not being made aware that this is a toxic cancer that you are using. They are not being provided. Government is doing excellent job by imposing bans. But what is the use of bans when consumers are not made aware of the eco-friendly alternatives that they can use if they have to store their meat, milk and dairy products, if plastic bags are not available? So I think first and the foremost challenge is to reduce the domestic demand in your market for the plastic. And how you can do that? By making your consumer aware, by doing the mass media campaigns that's needed, right?
I am just giving you an example. Zainab, earlier we have milk that was coming into the plastic protected bags. And soon after that, when the Tetra Pak was introduced, that was shifted. Whole of the industry was shifted towards that. So why not, once we have introduced a biodegradable bag against the polyethylene bags, so why that was not actually implemented in full? whether there was any sort of a gap in between the legislation or the law implementation was the issue, or whether that was limited to Islamabad only, or to, and we haven't seen that in Islamabad too. So why is that? Why that is not there? Where the problem lies?
Coming back to my point, when alternatives are not there, people are going to be inclined towards whether, if government bans it, they'll go and get it from the black, right? They'll smuggle it and they'll use it, first thing. Second thing is that you have your SMEs who have eco-friendly alternatives. They are providing solutions, but again the challenge they face is because they're not like corporate sector who can do marketing of their products, first thing. Second thing, ownership by the government has to be there. Third thing, for scalability of the solutions, there needs to be a connect that needs to be introduced between industry, private sector and those SMEs, so their solutions get scaled up. Alternatives are there. It's not that Pakistan is a very talented country and our youngsters are creating amazing alternatives. But the challenge is, they need to be connected through proper system, and how that proper system gets implemented, when you regulate your waste management properly, when you regulate your plastic industry and your recycling sector. So that's how you get them connected. I think in this context, government of Punjab is leading the game, and they have started regulating this sector. They are starting doing innovative strategies. Punjab government is doing amazing work. Now federal government is also taking initiatives like coming up with a policy on circular economy. They are in the phase of developing it. There are many initiatives that they're trying to take. First and foremost is waste segregation. If that is not there, no policy will work in the country.
Your point well taken. Thank you. Admiral Saeed sir, given the proven toxicity of the single-use plastics and their threats to ecosystem health, what enforceable measures are actually beyond the symbolic bans are in place to eliminate them and promote actually the biodegradables alternative at the scale, especially when we are talking about our plastic industry overall?
Thank you. I think it's a core of the problem which you have identified. Excuse me. I think human nature needs to be understood first. It runs between the two parallels, that is the incentives and the punishment. So until unless, and our governing systems are actually built on these two criteria. So merely making a system which is giving punishments does not work. So you make partner the society, the consumers and the producers, the investor also, as it was alluded to Dr. Zainab also. You make partner to them and give the incentives, so that, like giving you a small example, in Korea where I went, in the hotels they are not using the single-use plastics. They have come back to using the steel plates. That is in the 5-star hotels. And with that, they are giving rebate to the customer who is not using or asking for changing of their linens daily. 5% reduction on their overall bill. So they are making partner and giving an incentive to the consumer. So here also, if we implement, in 2023 we had implemented single-use plastic ban in Islamabad. So after the change of commissioner or maybe the system, again the things have come back. But if you give incentive to the shopkeepers, that in FBR, if you are certified with them, you will have this much reduction in your overall taxes. So this is a system, I think, in
incentives are necessary to have.
Exactly. And the ones who are the violators, then they should have out of proportion punishment also, to give the pain to the people. So until unless this is not done, and third is of course the society integration, in which segregation of this the kind of plastics we are using or the waste we are coming up with. In that, yesterday we had a program in which the German counselor was there. He was telling that if I go outside my house and try to mingle the plastic into some other, so it is not me who is actually doing it, it is the pressure from my neighbor who will come back and tells me that you have deposited your plastic into different category. So that means the society will have to come up with this pressure to the to the violators. So that comes from our education system, our family systems, our religious. I think religious people, they will have to come up in our mosques also. They should give this sermons on these kind of things.
Definitely, definitely. You are
society.
absolutely right, sir. Talha, with Pakistan producing, because this figure is corrected by Dr. Zainab. I was also quoting earlier 3.3 million tons of plastic waste, but it is the right and correct figure is 2 million tons. So how do you see that Pakistan's production of 2 million tons of plastic waste actually annually, and the plastic comprises of different microplastics that is actually ruining our river systems, particularly the Indus River, then Delta, we have the shrimps and the fish production, even effective mangroves, the vegetation, and the human health. How can the state justify the inaction on curbing the single-use plastic, number one, while the marine life, the public health, ports and tourism are actually suffering because of this one, because we are losing a precious exchequer that is basically going to be a real-time foreign exchange if we have the clean beaches, we have clean oceans, marine life, beautiful mangroves and all others, and even delta. So we can even earn a lot for our economy, but we are actually although might be lots of efforts were taken at the provincial level or might be even at the federal level, but we have to emphasize upon it because it is actually destroying our overall ecosystem.
I do understand that these things are necessary to have that surplus of economy which we are talking about. But again, we have to say things as they are. The reality of plastic can be recycled, or more accurately, we can say it should be downcycled. Once or twice, it can be rarely used. For this reason, the plastic have a linear rather than a circular lifespan. Where whatever technology you input into that, it inevitably ends into landfill and incinerators or into the environment. In 2023, a study estimated that the plastic recycling, even the advanced recycling, need 1.6 times of more energy and expense. And these advanced recycling, only 1 to 14% of the plastic material are processed through it. That are produced on an initial phase. 13,000 particles are there, and only 14% of them are able to recycle, and the fuel which we use into that even more harmless. So there is no point of talking that we need to increase the production, or we need to make in a way that could be biodegradable or something. I think we have reached to the ceiling here. The planetary limitation is what we are facing or experiencing right now. In regards to tourism, well, we need to educate our society. Again, I've told you, in the last 70 years, in the age of Anthropocene, we only learn to consume. We do not learn to take responsibility of the consumption. We do not take responsibility of the production even. We only see this into economic benefits. I think we need to change our development index into human development index. And we need to add more cleaner air, clean water, clean beaches, as you have mentioned, and these things, these clean and healthy environment into the system. If we don't do it, the results are in front of you. I mean, as mentioned by Dr. Zainab, the Indus Basin is one of the most polluted river basin in the world, and this is not a title of pride for us as a Pakistani. We have multiple tourism companies which are working in the north, remarkably earning a very good share of money. But again, they are certainly they are not going to overcome their profits in the name of climate or in the name of environment. They will consume or produce whatever they could.
What does Pakistan still rely on? An unregulated system, a broken waste management system, then an ignored informal sector, instead, and even most of the times irresponsible behaviors of our citizens. Instead of building an inclusive circular economy, then that incentivize actually the segregation, recycling, and eco-friendly practices. Like we have lots of seen in different countries, in Asian peers particularly, that most of the countries are doing excellent jobs, like Thailand, like Singapore, like South Korea and all others. So why not Pakistan?
I mean, sir, Pakistan is the major importer for plastic in the region in regards to e-waste too. And we actually consume plastic of the world too. So the regulations are there to stop it. And but again, I've mentioned it that there is an incentive or real-time incentive right now for the investor into the plastic industry because they can earn money from it. These regulations or these treaties only work in a manner where we can have a practical option. Even let's talk about Punjab. I mean, Punjab holds 65% share of plastic production. They are doing these things to remarkably, as Dr. Saiba mentioned, they're doing it. But again, 65% of the industry is lying over there. Did Punjab do anything to reskill them into a different sector? Those industries, those 11,000 households which are there. Matlab, we have to understand that the problem is not inventing a new tool for the old habit. The problem is to finish or practice in producing and consuming these things. And again, the main part where we can, as a human society, now works is on economic incentive. And if we have that in the other way around, maybe we can work, but I don't think so. There's any in current states.
Thank you very much, Talha, for being with us online. Thank you very much for your candid views. Talha was actually emphasizing on that we have not only to regulate it, but also we have to incentivize those industries and particularly those households which are actually relying upon it. We have to shift our habits and reduce the use of plastic. Dr. Zainab, why has the promising Living Indus initiative, with its vision for the zero plastic waste cities, now it seems like that it's a bit slow either, or might be it's sidelined without systematic policy integration or enforcement or political backing. But when time is running out to reverse the environmental collapse actually, why this Living Indus initiative that was robust one and that is still now slowed down? Why is it so?
So allow me some time to answer this question, and also allow me to disagree with you.
Okay.
This is not the case.
Okay.
I think Living Indus initiative is one of the most remarkable initiatives that the Ministry of Climate Change and Environmental Coordination has taken, and it is also one of the most best ecosystem restoration initiatives that has been recognized by United Nations Environment Program in the world. So I think that landmark initiative and especially one of its interventions around zero plastic waste cities. Now let me share what is being done and what Living Indus is doing right now. First initiative was with countermeasure 2, where the challenge was to assess, to do the gap analysis, need assessment on what is exactly the status. That has been done. Secondly, by collaborating with United Nations Environment Program, IETC arm that is based in Japan, IGS Japan, Living Indus Initiative and Ministry of Climate Change are working on developing national circular economy policy. They are doing this with under the Living Indus interventions. Third most important project that Living Indus Initiative is doing, in collaboration with, of course, SDPI, Ministry of Climate Change is there, as the ownership by the ministry is there, is on plastics and role of SMEs in Pakistan. How business models on SMEs, the indigenous solutions can be scaled up. So these are some of the many initiatives that are being taken under Living Indus Initiative. I think the problem here is that because government and the ministry has a lot in their plate, so the kind of marketing that is being done by corporate sector is not being done by Living Indus Initiative, but otherwise there are many initiatives. Second, coming towards one of the most important factors here, even in climate debate, the important thing that we talk about is just transition, leaving no one behind. That is your Agenda 2030.
So do you think that that we are going to get the objective of the zero plastic waste cities under the
Let me tell you how that's possible. It's not that you are going to eliminate plastic.
Definitely.
In order to reduce plastic,
at least we can reduce
you
that
also have
thrust
to
and the
ensure
threshold.
that your communities are not suffering. They are not losing jobs you have to provide them with
That is more
alternative green
important.
jobs.
Yes.
So secondly, coming towards, yes, you need to stop the plastic production, as Talha has rightfully pointed it out, but also you need to see that you don't only downcycle plastic, you also upcycle plastic. For example, there are startups I would like to mention here who are converting, you know, the multi-layer packaging products into eco-friendly bricks. They are converting it into construction material, and those are based in Pakistan. They are scaling up their solutions. There are startups who are converting it into furniture. So I think those are the solutions that needs to be recognized, and that's how you turn zero plastic waste cities, where you collect plastic and you either upcycle it or downcycle it. Third important aspect, if you're asking, of course, producers must be stopped from virgin plastic, producing virgin plastic, but then you have to provide them the level playing field also, right? You cannot just tell them to, we are going to ban you, your industry is finished.
And this is now vanished.
Are you
Everything
going
is
to
vanished
stop
now.
importing plastics also? You are also importing used textiles, plastic waste and many other things from the world. Your informal economy is based on that. You cannot end it in one day or so. A tier-wise approach is needed. Government is trying to take it in and go step by step. Eventually, if you see, there is no example in the world at this point where a country has completely banned. I also like to give an example from Japan. I went there to study their waste management system, and I was amazed. It's one of the most populous countries in the world. What they do is, in their homes, everyone knows that they have how they have to segregate the plastic, and you will not find a single bin on their roads, and even then their roads are super clean, because every person realizes that it's a conscious and important responsibility to make their country clean, to keep it clean. They're not going to be
Definitely,
mixing plastic
we
in the
actually
waste.
make our people very much cautious on that, but we have to learn that how to segregate these waste, because that is very important, and that is actually the first step to recycle or to have circular economy, really. So, Admiral Retired Ahmed Saeed, despite laws and the marine protected areas in Sindh and Balochistan, why do marine ecosystem actually continually on degradation and exposing the poor enforcement, weak regulations and the lack of sustainable investments in the coastal management particularly?
Before I answer your question, I would like to add something which Dr. Saiba has said. It's a very simple that we say that if you want to reduce the problem, reduce its volume.
Yes.
That means reduction in its production has to be the key area, number one. Number two is that if you want to eat the elephant, plan it every day.
No
Eating
doubt.
a sausage per day. So one day you will be able to eat the elephant also. So this elephant needs to be broken down into daily practices.
Yes.
That's what I was coming to. Now coming to your question, why still the degradation is occurring at the ocean level. First is that the ocean and land has a great relationship. Anything which is happening on land has a repercussion for the sea, and what is happening at sea has a repercussion on land. So if this 50% of plastic is ending up into the sea along with the untreated effluents of the industrial waste, so it is creating a huge problem at sea at the moment. I was in Karachi last 2 weeks ago, and I met a diver who was telling me that earlier on there used to be about a fit pollution, you can say the upper tier pollution volume of the sea. But now he says it has gone up to 10 to 12 meters. So this is causing a lot of problem to the fish, to the diving, to our ecosystem, and to our
even to the vessels which Pakistan Navy is actually using, and even our merchant ships and all others, because the shipping traffic is always dependent upon that. Right?
So that's the reason we are coming up with Pakistan Navy and other MOCC and the Maritime Affairs Ministry international conference on this in the coming weeks. So original target is to make everybody aware of it. So the problem which you said about the special marine protected areas, now as per the 2030 targets, it should be 30-30. That means 30% of our sea area should be declared as marine protected area.
Definitely.
Whereas at the moment it is 0.2, which is 2 areas we have only identified, which is Astola and Churna. So on this also we are working with the Navy that come up with the roadmap along with the different think tanks and universities, which includes the SDPI, which includes the ComSets, which includes the Berry University. So we are working on it, that we come up with some policy work on this to spear that. Above all, then we need another area in which we are working, that is to install a marine plastic national observatory at sea, so that this entire program is digitally captioned, and then we start measuring it and start reducing it. So these are the areas in which we are working, and we hopeful that inshallah coming days we will be able to reduce this volume.
Well done. That's very good, really. Dr. Zainab, how can Pakistan claim to protect the fragile Indus Delta while allowing the unchecked the upstream dumping of the plastic and the industrial waste and the chemical effluents, because they are straight away going into without any sort of a treatment, threatening the biodiversity, ecosystem services and the climate resilience of the millions of people actually who are relying upon it. It's not only the industry, but also the local communities who are actually relying upon that.
So I think again this is about just transition. I think one of the most important things that we have skipped so far from our ecosystem restoration programs is establishing a Delta Protection Authority based on, this is something that I am saying based on the international best practices. I think Indus is something that requires a holistic systems approach and a very dedicated approach. So I think that needs to be established. And again, as Admiral Saab has mentioned, NIMA is developing an observatory. So I think these are the things that we need to do for Indus also, because all the upstream waste that is going into the Arabian Sea is being dumped through Indus. So I think that's one thing. Secondly, there is a way forward how this can be reduced, the challenge that you have talked about. First thing is establishing a model where consumers, when they go to purchase any product that is plastic based at point of sale, by doing the transactions using, again, if they are registered with FPR, if they are purchasing it, there should be a fee, additional fee that should be labeled as recycling fee, and then government collects that fee through consumers when they are purchasing plastic products. That fee, and then coming towards producers, asking producers to dedicate their CSR budgets, especially for recycling infrastructure and for waste collection infrastructure. So that fee gets collected through establishing PRO. This is an extended producer responsibility framework that we are advocating for. Through that producer responsibility organization, these two fees gets collected, and the government initiate a revenue that can support overall waste management system. First thing. Second thing, consumers, especially discharging effluents, your construction waste, your waste along your delta, that should be banned totally. Real estate sector has always been neglected from your policy planning process, and they need to be, they need to sit on the table, and they need to be explained that while you're constructing along the floodplains, you are utilizing the resources, extracting resources from delta. This is the, these are the kind of repercussions that we are having, and this is when you need to stop. Enforcement of our River Act and Restoration Acts, it's missing at this point.
Definitely, you are absolutely right. One last question to you, Admiral retired Ahmed Saeed sir. Number one is Gawada, because it is becoming a major industrial hub, and the harbour and the port as well. So what needs to have some sort of a regulatory system over there when it comes to prevent the overall marine life from the effluents and the pollution, particularly the plastic pollution over there? And the second is that government conducted any sort of a scientific assessment of microplastic impact on the marine life and the fish stocks in Pakistan's exclusive economic zone, particularly because that is more affected, as you have rightly pointed out, about the depth of our seas, how they are actually affecting. So what key role actually Pakistan Navy, Pakistan Maritime Security Agency, the port authorities, and particularly your think tank, National Institute of Maritime Affairs, can do in that regard?
Thank you very much. I think towards sea, first coming to the role of the Navy and the maritime agencies, those who are working on it, there is a gap. The gap started with the 18th Amendment. I must say that legislation from the center as it has been given to the provinces within the 12 nautical mile, and this is the belt in which major pollution is taking place. So they have not legislated as yet to give these powers to the PMSA, to the Coast Guard and to the Navy. So this is a gap in which I think which needs to be quickly addressed to, number one. Number two, in 2018, Pakistan Navy started first soul searching. That means how much Pakistan Navy in itself is producing the waste which is contributing towards the sea. So this has become, since then, and a strategy was devised. Since then, this has become a permanent calibration point in our command and staff, which is the Corps Commander Conference, if you say.
Definitely.
In that entire setup of the Navy, which includes our housing societies, which includes our dockyards, which includes our shipyards, everywhere, recycling processes have been introduced, and we have ensured that no untreated water goes into the sea. That was done by 2020. Within 2 years, we have achieved that.
That's
and
good.
now it is being reviewed every year. So this is the one part. Now, second part is because the Chief of the Naval Staff is the technical advisor to the Prime Minister on maritime affairs.
Yes.
So he has definitely, through the NIMA and other agencies, we are working with the government on this issue, that how we can protect our sea from this pollution. So as I said, first step is that we are coming up with the big
Definitely.
number two.
Actually, we have run short of
one
time.
short
Okay.
point is
Please.
that Gwadar, I would recommend to make it a pilot project as a pilot project for green city, green port city, as was done by France in 1992. La Rochelle is their city, where they had implemented everything, and then after that results they came up with that they implemented in all over France.
Definitely, definitely. No doubt about that. Thank you very much, Admiral Ahmed Saeed sir, for your presence here. I want to continue this discussion, very interesting one, but unfortunately we have time bars. So thank you very much, Dr. Zainab, for your presence. And I thank you, Talha Bhatti as well, who contributed well. Thank you very much, Talha, for your presence online. Viewers, as you have just listened, that it is very important that the global plastic treaty must have to be signed in a fashion that it is must be legally binding and at least able to restrict the production globally, the plastic production, and to regulate it in a way that we can protect our planet, we can protect our oceans, and it is important that Pakistan must have to take forward that's what we have actually signed in the Global Plastic Action Partnership. And fortunately, as our panelists suggested and said, that at the federal level and at the provincial level, particularly at the Punjab government is doing an excellent job in that sense. So we have to continue these efforts, and we have to actually expedite these efforts, because that is a dire need if we want to protect our ecosystems, the nature, the overall environment, our forests, our Indus Delta and Indus River system, and also our oceans, because our oceans are actually protecting us and we have to protect them, because 90% of our economy actually based upon our oceans, and even trade, that is 96%. And as Talha said, that there is about 500 billion rupees of investment into the plastic industry. 15% of the GDP it is contributing actually, and 11,000 households are actually dependent upon it, 2 million people, and we have to protect at first these 2 million people and give them the alternatives, not only even alternatives, but also the incentives to all those producers, the sellers and all others to shift towards different sort of, we can do it with the point of sales, as Dr. Zainab said, we can do it with the tax incentives as well, we can do it with charging extra fee who are consuming more plastics, and even on recycling we can give them incentives as well. So, and alternatives are very important. We have to regulate this sector, we have to introduce and actually expedite our circular economy aspect. Then Gwadar, it is an emerging hub of economy. We have to make it a pilot project, as Admiral retired Ahmed Saeed said. Marine pollution a national observatory is going to be an excellent idea. That must have to be there. We have to protect our oceans from these microplastics and all others, and even our water bodies which we consume for the drinking water. This long-term initiative is needed, is required, and sensitivity must have to be there. National circular policy must have to be unveiled sooner, because it is important. Delta Protection Authority is a must right now, and we have to protect that 12 nautical mile of the area of our exclusive economic zone. That must have to be regulated, because ultimately it's our bread and butter, and it's our trade, it's our economy. So we have to protect the nature so that nature protect us. This is all from today's Foresight. It's time to sign off. Allah Hafiz.